You comfy there, Bon? Sitting in the frost, getting a frosty bottom. Morning everybody, welcome back to my Bountiful Acre. My name's Sue if you're new here. And today we've got a super frosty day. The greenhouse is frozen solid. I'm trying to get in there to top up the bird feeders because they are empty already and I only did them yesterday. So despite the fact that there are lots of berries around, they are eating the nuts. Marvellous. The sun's been on it for a little while. Let's see what damage we've got. I did lay some wool over things last night and I did have my little fan heater on my EcoFlow, but unfortunately that would only last for about an hour maximum if it was on. So, watering can frozen. These are my dahlias. I put those in wool. I can take the wool off now, I think. Oops. As you can see, despite the freezing cold weather, my sweet peas are still growing. In this week's video, I am planning the kitchen garden and I'll take you indoors shortly and show you that. I use the Grow Veg planner, which I've mentioned before I think, and I find it really useful and quite simple, and it does do follow-on plans once you're settled in, and it'll tell you where you had things last year if you're bothered about succession planting. If you do sort of permaculture and mix things up and about, it's not so important. But yeah, it's really useful. There is a free trial. I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested. It's not sponsored in any way, this video. I literally used it in my old garden and I did the trial, thought it was brilliant. And it's about £4 a year, which I think is brilliant because there's a journal, you can set reminders to do things, it sends you a weekly newsletter that says you've got this in your garden that might need attention. So I find it really useful because I've got a scatterbrain. What I'm going to do now is find the bird food, which is the greenhouse. It's so messy now because I've just dragged pots in from outdoors. Back up, Bonbon, good girl. Find the bird food, top the bird feeders up, and then we'll go indoors and do some planning. If you have got feeders and water, remember that this will be frozen solid as well. So I'm going to top the water up, top the feeder up, and I need to get peanuts as well by the looks of things. Get the birds looked after because they will then look after us in the summer when they're clearing up pests. Frost edges on this bay tree, isn't it fabulous? Right, this is the area that I am intending to make into the kitchen garden, and earlier this week I came out with my trusty tape measure and measured up, so now we can head on inside and get planning in the warm. Basically, you go to growveg.co.uk, open either an existing plan or create a new one. You can get a free trial. You don't have to put any bank details in or anything like that, and I'll put a link in my description below so that you can follow on without remembering all of this. So create a new plan, call it whatever you like. So let's call it test garden, and what year you want it to be, so you can put this year's garden in. The area that I want to use is 13 metres by 13 metres, but I'm going to put 14 by 14 just to give me a little wiggle room on the screen to move things around. You can put it in anything between 1 metre and 300 metres and create plan. And it basically comes up with a grid, so graph paper for all intents and purposes. It looks quite complicated, but I can assure you it isn't. So if we go over to this side a little bit, you can see down the side here you've got something that looks like a plant, something that looks like an object, and shapes and text. So if you add a garden object, you can then either search down the list, because there's all sorts of things, arches, or you can type in what you want. So let's say raised bed. And it'll come up with 6 variants of raised beds, or raised bed covers, or metal ones like the lovely curved metal ones you can get. They add more and more objects as time goes on, but for this purposes I'm just going to say a wooden raised bed. And you drag it onto your screen and click, and then it shows you that click measures 87 centimetres by 87, and you literally pull the corners to make it bigger or smaller. So if you want the outside to be 1.2, or you can double click and put the measurements here. So the outside width is 1.2 and I want that to be 2.4, so it was a pretty good guess, to be honest. Press done. So that is a bed that measures 2.4 by 1.2. You can zoom in and out just by sliding your mouse, and you can rotate that either by the circle or by double clicking and putting in 90 degrees. There we go, so it'll twist it around the other way. And you can drag and drop wherever you want it on the plan. And then if you want to copy, it's right click, copy, right click, paste, and you've got the second one. So, and you can, because it's on graph paper, you can count these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say 70 centimetres apart. So I've now got 2 raised beds. You can then go back to your objects. So if you wanted to do a shape, you can go to shapes, you can have a filled shape, or have a rectangular filled shape, and you could click and drag and pull it all the way across to make a path. And then you can double click it to change the fill by clicking on the fill symbol there, and then there are textures down here that you can do: sand, dirt, grass, whatever. So let's put grass path in for now. So there we go. And then if you want to put vegetables or flowers in, you click on the plant and it has a massive list. They keep adding more and more plants. So let's say we want to put carrots in, and there we go. And on the left of the symbol there is a little I for information, and that will bring up a page all about carrots, what conditions they like, whether they're perennials, whether they need feeding, how far apart to plant them, and what their companion plants might be. So all of these plants listed here are a benefit to carrots. It has some notes about slugs and things like that, and a little planting plan for when the best time to plant them. So sow them indoors, outdoors, or harvest. So obviously they're recommending you direct sow outside between April and June, but obviously you can specify. But I'm going to put carrots in. So you click on the carrot, it'll put 1 carrot if you just click once, but if you drag and drop, you can fill that bed, and it tells you that that is 189 carrots in that space. And then you could say, right, I would like to put one of the companion plants in. So show all the companions. You've got chives, coriander, leeks, basically oniony based things. I'm going to put some chives in, for instance. So then we'll go to chives and click and drag a little row of chives down the side. You can move the text wherever you like just by dragging and dropping. Reposition your carrots, and then let's put some leeks. So you get the general idea. It's fairly simple. Let's have multi-sown leeks, and we'll put them in the bed there, and it tells me I can get 12 multi-sown blocks. So obviously you might have 2 or 3 leeks in each multi-sown section. If you were pre-growing something, let's say a winter squash, let's go for a butternut. You see how much space that actually takes up. So I would put that in there. You can double click on it. You can say what variety you're growing. So I'm going to go with butternut because it's a common one. And then you can specify on the particular plant when you are intending to put them in the ground or when you did put them in the ground. So here obviously it says sow them in April indoors, or sow plant outdoors May, June. So you might decide that in the early season, say March to June, you're going to have lettuce in that bed and you're not going to plant it out till June. So you can specify here that this is actually going to be in the bed from June until you harvest it at the end of October. And what will happen is, here at the top, I'm currently showing all months at once. You can switch to a particular month. So in February, the squash will disappear. But come June, it'll be reappearing. And then obviously again, at the end of the year, it disappears. November won't be there. So then you can go in and put something else there. So let's go back to, for instance, March and put in some lettuce. I'm going to go with loose leaf lettuce in that spot, drag and drop, 81 loose leaf lettuce plants in the same space. So once you've done your plan, whatever style and design you want to do, you can actually go to a list at the top. So there's a plant list of things that I've put in the garden. So here, even though I'm showing only 1 month, it is still showing the squash. So it's showing carrots, chives, leeks, lettuce and squash. It tells you how many plants you need, how far apart they should be planted or grown, and when you have specified that they are in the ground. The quantities I find really useful, because if you're sowing in modular cells in your greenhouse, you will know that you're going to need 80 loose leaf lettuces if you're doing them individually, or 12 modules of multi-sown leeks. So this will give you a printable list of plants. So if you put tomato in, underneath it says show companions, so you can just click there with the heart and it'll show you the companion plants that are beneficial to the tomato. So I'm going to go to calendula and just plant some flowers in here to attract the pollinators, and I can get 2 in there. You can move all the labels, as I say. So that's how you do it. But I will take you now and show you what I've planned for my actual garden. Open the plan, and there we have it. You can zoom in and out, as I say. So this is what I've come up with. I hope you can see that. This is the side door to the house. So I've got 4 arbours built between the beds and some teepees. That's structures. If we go to layout, it shows you the beds. There we go. That's easier, isn't it? So I've got a square in the middle, and I'm going to make these 4 L-shaped ones into double height. The middle, I'm intending to put a square with a water feature of some description, possibly like a water overflowing dish or something, surrounded by plants and flowers, just to make it pretty, because it needs to attract beneficial insects as well. And then these are 2.4 by 1.2 beds around here, and these are 1 by 1, also double height squares. The rest are single height. These are single height, these are single height. This is a garden bench that we have currently in the greenhouse, and I'm undecided between gravel or bark mulch at the moment. I will try and overlay an aerial shot. Actually, you can put a background shot in. So if I now put plants on, that's just showing the plants with the background faded out a little bit. So for instance, in the centre, those L-shaped beds, I've multi-sown lots of things. I like to mix my beds up. I don't want one great big bed of carrots. But because these are double height, they will be better for things like carrots and parsnips, because it'll keep the carrot fly at bay as well, somewhat anyway, hopefully. So I'm going to put some climbing roses, a clematis onto these arbours that are just greyed out there. Water feature in the middle, some herbs, some geraniums. Geraniums are apparently a companion plant to roses, as are alliums because of the onion scent. So I just went along, picked a vegetable, put beetroot in, and then it tells me my companions. So again, geraniums for them as well. Catnip, garlic, mint, onions. So yeah, beans. So what I did was I chose French beans down the side to go over the arbour in that direction, sweet peas on this side to look pretty, and then I've got borlotti beans and squashes to go over the arches, and generally filled it up. Now this isn't set in stone, obviously, so then if I go on the plant list, I haven't put all the varieties in as yet. I was just playing. It shows you onion snowball, onion electric, rocket, leeks, you name it, I've got it in there. I'm throwing everything at it this coming year, because having missed a year of growing, I got a little bit carried away. But you can click the information button. It tells you all about it. You can click on varieties. It lists some well-known varieties. You can write in your journal, I'll show you that in a moment, and you can make notes. But I'm trying to mix it up. So I've got flowers with vegetables, and I'm trying to put as many companion plants with their bedmates as I can, just to mix it up and make it look pretty more than anything. I've got my sweet corn down here with some sunflowers and some patty pan squashes to go over the arbour. So the paths I've made slightly wider. I need to be able to get my wheelbarrow down them and crouch down for the ones that aren't double height. I've also got a lovely little area under here, which when things have grown over, you know, you're going to get shady spots. and somewhere to sit at the other end, get a view down to the water feature. And yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this. I'll see if I can overlay the garden view and get the background in for you as well. Now then, I have just overlaid the photograph, and I think that's thrown up a few issues with my original plan. Because obviously I've drawn it straight and the garden is not straight. So this line at the bottom here is our patio in front of the back door. So I've got it as straight as I can on the photograph. So that's about right. But as you can see, as we go up the plan, the start of the walls are here, and that goes off that way at a bit of an angle. So that's fine. But this bed here, I think I really do need to leave access down the side of this hedge, because I need to get in here and mow the grass and get my lawnmower through. So I think this bed's going to have to change slightly. Decisions, but at least doing it this way, I haven't gone out, bought a load of wood and got it all wrong. I've just had a little rejig. I have moved the asparagus down this side, which kind of would make a permanent sort of barrier anyway with the height of the fronds. As I say, I might put a fence of some description, maybe a willow fence or something. And I've put a small planter each side of the bench with maybe a patio sort of vertical fruit tree in. I don't know for sure as yet, but I think that looks slightly better. It gives me access around the back of here and down the side of here, and then they've got all this free space here. If you've got any ideas on how I could improve this plan, please do leave it in the comments below. One more thing I forgot to mention, the journal, which is a tab on the left hand side over here. You can then pick a day. It tells you what the weather is because you put your postcode in. So these temperatures and weather conditions are basically for your area. And you can say you've watered stuff, you've transplanted stuff, you've harvested things. You can add photographs, make notes of anything that's doing well, that isn't doing well. Really useful app. I can't recommend it more highly, to be fair. And relatively cheap and cheerful. So if you're interested, as I say, I'll put the link in the description. I hope you've enjoyed this look at what I intend to do next year. Can you tell which the young one is? Loonies, they are loonies.